The Suez Canal, a 120-mile waterway, connected the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, revolutionizing global trade after its 1869 opening. For the British Empire, it was the main route to India and the Far East, a vital artery for oil, troops, and commerce. Control of the canal meant control over global trade and military movement. Yet the canal was managed by a company dominated by British and French interests, while Egyptians saw little benefit. British troops stationed along the canal deepened Egyptian resentment. This discontent fueled the rise of Gamal Abdel Nasser, a nationalist army officer determined to reclaim Egypt's sovereignty. Nasser envisioned a modern, independent Egypt, with the canal as the key to its future. The canal became a symbol of national pride and the focus of Nasser's ambitions. The stage was set, old colonial powers clinging to influence versus a new generation of nationalist leaders. The Suez Canal was more than a waterway. It was a prize that would spark a global crisis. The coming confrontation would redraw the Middle East and mark the end of an era. The world was about to change forever. Nasser needed funds for the Aswan High Dam, a project to transform Egypt's economy. When the West withdrew financial support, Nasser responded boldly. On July 26, 1956, he nationalized the Suez Canal. Egyptians celebrated, but Britain and France saw it as a direct threat to their interests. British Prime Minister Eden and French leaders viewed Nasser as a destabilizing force. They sought a way to retake the canal without appearing as colonial aggressors. Israel, facing Egyptian hostility and blockades, became their secret partner. In October 1956, Britain, France and Israel met in Sèvres, France, to plot a covert operation. The plan: Israel would invade Sinai, giving Britain and France a pretext to intervene as peacekeepers. Their real goal was to seize the canal and topple Nasser. The stage was set for a dramatic showdown. The world had no idea what was about to unfold. The Suez Crisis was about to erupt. The fate of the Middle East hung in the balance. On October 29, 1956, Israel invaded the Sinai Peninsula, swiftly advancing toward the Suez Canal. Britain and France issued an ultimatum, demanding both sides withdraw, knowing Egypt would refuse. When Nasser rejected the ultimatum, British and French forces launched airstrikes and invaded near Port Said. Egypt's military resisted, but the invaders seized parts of the canal after fierce fighting. In defiance, Nasser ordered ships scuttled in the canal, blocking it completely. The operation seemed a military success, but the political backlash was immediate. The world saw through the ruse. Outrage spread across the globe. The United States and Soviet Union, rivals in the Cold War, both condemned the invasion. The crisis escalated beyond the battlefield, threatening to destabilize the entire region. The conspirators had underestimated the global response. The Suez Canal, once a symbol of empire, was now a flashpoint for international crisis. The fate of the operation and the old order hung in the balance. The world demanded an end to the conflict. The international backlash was swift and severe. President Eisenhower, furious at being kept in the dark, demanded an immediate ceasefire. The Soviet Union threatened intervention, raising fears of a wider war. Both superpowers pressured Britain, France, and Israel to withdraw. Eisenhower used financial leverage, threatening Britain's economy. Facing economic disaster and diplomatic isolation, Britain and France had no choice but to retreat. A UN-brokered ceasefire was agreed to within days. The United Nations deployed its first major peacekeeping force to the region. By December, British and French troops withdrew. Israel soon followed. The Suez Crisis had ended in humiliation for the old powers. The world order had shifted permanently. The consequences of Suez were only beginning to unfold. Nasser emerged as a hero. Egypt retained control of the Suez Canal, and Arab nationalism soared. The canal reopened under Egyptian management, becoming a vital source of national revenue. For Britain and France, Suez was a disaster, exposing their diminished global power. The crisis marked the end of European colonial dominance in the Middle East. The United States and Soviet Union filled the power vacuum, turning the region into a Cold War battleground. Israel gained temporary security guarantees, but regional tensions persisted. The Suez Crisis set the stage for future conflicts, including the Six-Day War. It was a turning point. Military might alone was no longer enough. Global opinion and financial power now shaped international affairs. The Suez Canal, once the lifeline of empire, became a symbol of its end. The world had entered a new era.